What it do, citizens of P-Town, you know what this is. This is none other than my top 10 favorite movies of 2024. I personally thought this was a strong year for movies. Whether or not it was films that I was heavily anticipating or movies that I didn't think I would watch but just gave it a shot, I was rarely disappointed. I was always thoroughly surprised, and my expectations were consistently met, if not exceeded. And, even mentioning movies that I didn't see, like The Substance or I Saw TV Glow, there was a lot of defining and unique movies of 2024 that resonated with a lot of people. So, yeah, strong year, even if I didn't have as many horses in the race as far as Oscar contentions go. I thoroughly enjoyed so many of the movies that came out this year, including my four honorable mentions. We have the culturally rich directorial debut of Dev Patel's Monkey Man in the top left. To the right of it, we have Didi, a great coming of age film, especially for those who grew up in the 2000s and or Asian Americans. We have on the bottom left Driveway Dolls, Ethan Cohen's directorial debut alongside his wife, at least in terms of narrative feature films. And of course, with the buzzer beater for honorable mentions, Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. And before we get into the top 10, I did not see every single movie that came out this year, and that includes these four, which include The Brutalists, which I do want to check out, but they do not screen in my area for another 20 days. We have the viral Thai film, How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies, best known for videos posted online for audience members reacting to this film pretty much consistently, ending in people just bawling their eyes out. I did want to check this film out, but didn't get to. Venom 3, I like the first two Venom movies, so why not? I didn't get around to see it. And Hundreds of Beavers, which surprised so many people. This has slapstick humor that just seems up my alley. Wanted to check it out, but didn't get to. Probably will soon. And yeah, let's get into this top 10 list. At number 10, we have Steppenwolf, directed by Alekhan Yurzanov. This is the first of a few San Diego Asian Film Festival viewings that I got to see. You can go ahead and check out my video for that right here. And so, yeah, without kind of going over the same that I said too much, Steppenwolf is essentially a John Ford meets Mad Max type of film in terms of visuals, in terms of tone. This is a volatile, tense, and immersive post-apocalyptic film, or I guess apocalyptic, to be honest. The world of Steppenwolf is just merciless. Every single scene just is just transactional. You never know who's going to die or when or how they're going to die. It just feels like at a moment's notice the trigger's going to get pulled, the violence is just going to occur, the rubber band is just about to snap. It's an intense film because of that. But like I said, one of the best ones this year. Well shot, really great Kazakhstan movie if you're interested. At number 9, we have Alien Romulus, directed by Fede Alvarez. This is actually my first re-entry back into the Alien franchise, and I think, to be honest, a really good one to re-enter into because it does follow the same narrative beats as the first two Alien movies. Now, is Romulus as good as those films? No, but I think for something that takes the same structure of those films, I think it, for the most part, had a lot of great ideas with the horror. It presents the creatures that we all know and love in really fun ways for horror. I mean, there's a great hallway scene involving the facehuggers. There's a great zero gravity scene. And of course, I think when it comes to the horror of Alien, it's no secret to Alien fans that there's this violating aspect to it with the face huggers that just forcefully impregnate characters, the gut bursters, and of course the design of the xenomorph. It is no secret that there's this psychosexual tension when it comes to the effectiveness of the horror of Alien. And I think that Alien Romulus takes it a step further with its ending. I'm not going to spoil it for those who haven't seen it, but I think it does Alien mostly right. I think most of us can think of one elephant in the room of an idea that wasn't really the best taste, but I think for the most part, it's a really good horror film with great ideas. At number 8, we have my favorite action film of 2024, which is Twilight of the Warriors Walled In. If you keep tabs on Asian cinema, specifically Asian action cinema, you know that this movie was a huge hit in mainland China, one of the highest domestic grossing movies from that area. This is so successful. The story is set between the Kowloon walled city. It's just lawless and merciless. The action in this movie is fantastic. It is visceral. It is intense. very heavy hitting. It's the type of aggression that occurs in which characters, you know, that characters grew up in a lawless city. There's some fantastical elements too. There's a lot of great action set pieces of characters working together to achieve goals, whether or not it's to escape from the antagonist or to take down this overpowered antagonist. I love it when characters work together in this movie. The action is fantastic. It's great to see that every time I do check into modern Asian action cinema, that Asia is still producing some of the best action in the world. Check it out. It's on Amazon Prime right now, so definitely check it out. My favorite action movie of this year. At number 7, we have one of my favorite dramas this year, which is Backloggd, directed by Guan Hu. This is one of those movies that grew in esteem during the time period since I first watched this movie. Essentially, it is about a ex-convict who was recently released from prison discovering himself and accepting himself, and that's depicted through his relationship with this titular dog. Now, this is by no means the first or only movie to depict man's relationship between dog, but this is one of, if not my favorite case of that. I mean, it humanized our main character through his bond with this dog as well as connection to animals. We don't know whether or not he committed this crime. I mean, you get hints throughout the movie about the severity of this crime. It's there's a little bit of hints about whether or not it was an accident or on purpose. We don't know that for sure, but we still grow invested into this character's journey and just accepting himself for who he is. I love the parallel in this movie that humans are also animals. So why cage ourselves when we can be free? We might come into conflict with each other, but at the end of the day, we're just trying to survive. That's pretty much more or less of what I said during my San Diego Asian Film Festival video, which I saw this in. One of my favorite dramas this year, Backloggd, number 7. At number 6 is, of course, Transformers 1. No surprise that I put Transformers 1 in my top 10. I love Transformers. And this movie felt like for the first time, if not ever, in which mainstream movie audiences, critics, and fans mostly agreed that this was a great movie. This was awesome. The animation was great. The action was great. I thought it was pretty funny. I thought the voice acting performances were very, very good too. There's faithfulness to the characters that we see on screen with the Transformers franchise, in addition to presenting them in pretty new, different, fresh ways. Of course, the relationship between Orion Pax and D right here before they became Megatron and Optimus Prime, respectively. Man, there's a lot of love to this movie. And once again, I'm just disappointed because it felt like this did have its mark in cinema this year, in which people were like, hey, you know, critics like this movie, Transformers fan like this movie, general movie fans like this movie, and it flopped at the box office. But nonetheless, it's my top 6. Give it some love if you can. Number 6, Transformers 1. I'm sorry, it's like hot in here, and it's like affecting my focus a little bit. Not gonna lie. At number 5, top 5 films this year is none other than Haikyuu the Dumpster Battle. Of course, I put this movie in top 5. This was a banger. I mean, it does speak to the quality of Haikyuu when a movie displaying its standard quality. Where am I going with this? Like the standard quality of Haikyuu is going to make it into my top 10 movies this year. This is one of the best edited films this year. It has some amazing music. It features the characters we all know and love in a very high stakes battle. I'm just really glad I got to see this in a theater full of many other enthusiastic fans who are already invested in the story, who have already seen the 3 or 4 seasons predating this movie. Um, you know, I think the whole trend of anime shows getting theatrical movies is a little polarizing. I think Demon Slayer Mugen Train is kind of like a double-edged sword in that influence. With that said, I'm thankful that I got to experience in a theater versus the small screen. But if you're a fan of Haikyuu, go check this out. If you've never seen Haikyuu before, check it out. Haikyuu the Dumpster Battle makes my top 5 this year. At number 4 is my current favorite Indian film, the Superboys Amalagon, directed by Rima Kakti. This is a movie about making movies. It's about the drive to make movies for so many different yet important reasons. It's the passion to make movies because you love them so much, you just have no choice but to make movies. It's the intention to make movies with the people around you to bring you and the people around you closer together. It's the drive to make movies, to make your mark in film history, whether or not it's with the people you love or the area that you're from. All of this is all wrapped together in a really greatly edited, well written film about the love of movies. And if you like movies, definitely check this one out. Yeah, I look forward to watching Satyajit Ray movies next year. But like I said, as of right now, this is my favorite Indian film. So well edited, so well written, and yeah, just we love movies. Anyways, top three. Unsurprisingly, it's Dune Part Two. It's Dune Part Two, directed by Denis Villeneuve. I mean, it should be no surprise why I love this movie. I mean, um, this is in so many people's lists for favorite movies this year. Denis Villeneuve is one of my favorite directors of all time. Nothing I'm going to say is going to be a surprise. I'm just going to be repeating the praises that have been consistently thrown around for this film. It's just one of the biggest achievements in filmmaking this year. It's a tour de force of filmmaking. The scale, the cinematography, Greg Fraser came to play, Denis Villeneuve came to play with his amazing direction, the editing, the score, the visuals, the performances, the cast, the entire cast are just putting in some of their best work in this movie, whether or not it's Timothy Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Zendaya, just to name a few. I mean, it was one of the best, probably the best theatrical experience this year, too. You just had to be there when you watched this. To me, based on my circles, this was the biggest movie moment of 2024. Maybe not the highest grossing. When it came to people talking about movies, Doom Part 2 to me seemed like it had the biggest impact, and it's unsurprisingly my third favorite film of this year. Yeah, really fantastic film, sci-fi, a sci-fi wonder. You know what I mean? We're gonna be looking back on this movie and how it was made for years to come. So yeah, unsurprisingly, Doom Part Two is in my number three. My number two favorite movie is Evil Does Not Exist. Now, if you're interested in my full thoughts on this film, go ahead and check out my review right here. But technically this is a 2023 movie, but because this didn't get its wide theatrical release until 2024, I'm going to count it as a 2024 movie. Other channels do. And Evil Does Not Exist, directed by Ryusuke Hamaguchi, is for sure my second favorite movie this year because it gave me the most to think about. This is the movie that I reflected on the most in 2024. And summarizing what I said in my review video for this movie, it's a film about perspective. It's about this group of people living in the mountains in Japan, and it's about perspective. It's about displaying different perspectives, new perspectives, and reconstructing them. This is a film that poses a lot of questions, two of them being one, to what extent do people act upon their own self-interest? And two, to what extent does that self-interest be considered evil? And these are just two of the questions asked in this movie. For a film that poses a lot of different questions, there's very little answers. But I think those opportunities to interpret this movie gave me the most to think about. There are no clear answers. I think that this is a really interesting parallel to Black Dog, in which Black Dog connected humanity through animals. This film connects people and the characters to nature, not just the nature of the physical setting that they're in and what happens when people get involved in that nature, as well as, of course, human nature. Human nature is complex, it's complicated. Sometimes we can never get a clear answer on it, but that's just how it is. And I think that's displayed beautifully in Evil Does Not Exist. You know, so many of the characters are so memorable. The dialogue is fantastic. It's a very effective drama. It's surprisingly funny too. I wouldn't call this a comedy, but surprisingly funny. And even though I just talked about Dune Part 2 being one of the best looking sci-fi films of this year and by extension all of time, Evil Does Not Exist to me is one of, if not my favorite looking movie this year. The visuals are so fantastic. This one's going to be on my mind for a while and for a long time as the years go by. So Evil Does Not Exist, my number two. And my number one film this year, when I had to think about what were the best films this year, I had to think about a film that gave me everything, if not a little bit of everything, from the top 10. What gave me a great theatrical experience? What film had great visuals? What was just very entertaining? What gave me a lot to think about? And I decided that my favorite movie of 2024 would be none other than Evil or Dead Town Society. Dang it, I fucking messed up. Dead Town Society is my favorite film from the San Diego Asian Film Festival, and by extension, my favorite film of 2024. Directed by John Soo. I just realized I spelled his name wrong right there. But anyways, this film gave me everything. It gave me a great theatrical experience, like Dune Part 2 or Transformers 1. It gave me great use of characters, like in Black Dog. It gave me a lot of hell yeah moments, like in Twilight of the Warriors. It's a very funny movie too. It had a lot of outrageous one-liners, a lot of jokes that took the audience by surprise that just kind of came out of nowhere. It had one of my favorite scenes of the year featuring characters dressed up in a certain outfit chasing characters down a street. And it also gave me a lot to think about. Like evil does not exist. I mean, with the theme of achievement anxiety, in which, at my age, there's always questions about like, what are you going to do with your life? How are you going to move up professionally in the world? What career do you want to pursue? How are you going to make a mark on the world? And while these questions are very important and something that I'm going to have to find answers to, I'm rarely told that it's okay to not do, it's okay to not know where you're going. It's okay to not do anything significant. It's okay to not be special. And that's what this movie is trying to tell you and reassure audiences that it's okay to be you. And if you isn't really, you know, going viral or doing the next big thing, that's all right. And it felt very, very assuring to be told that for once in my life. Um, and yeah, so I think this is a very resonant movie for those who feel pressure, whether or not it's socially or internally, to do something great. You don't have to do something great. And if you do end up achieving something great, do it in your own way, which is what Dead Talent Society is trying to say. And with those themes alongside being the funniest, outrageous, wildly hilarious movie this year, this is my favorite film of 2024. Dead Talent Society, Taiwanese film. Check it out if you can. And that's it. That is my top 10 favorite films of 2024. What were your favorite films? Go ahead and let me know down below. Any surprises, any unique ones, any ones that I didn't check out that were on your favorites this year. Go ahead and let me know. Thank you for all your support in 2024. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll catch you later.